Assalamualaikum to Dr. Zarina binti Muhammad Zain. My name is Muhammad Arifai bin Azhar and I'm from Group 3. My metric number is 2022X76624 and today we would like to present about the subsidy, inefficiency in public expenditure.
Subsidy mentality is ingrained in the Malaysian psyche. We expect to pay less for everything from petrol to eggs. But many do not realize that subsidies, especially those that enable us to pay less, are also bad for the market and can lead to corruption. The government must be able to tell the good from the bad when it attempts to revamp the system. It is easy to see which the bad ones are. They lead to overconsumption, waste, and environmental damage, says Niaz Asadullah of Monash University, Malaysia. The fuel subsidy is not good either. It encourages corruption and it is unproductive and wasteful, Yakim Lang of Samir Business School says. On the other hand, those for education and healthcare should be retained. Jeffrey Williams of the Malaysia University of Science and Technology says. Communication is key, Williams adds. People must understand that subsidies are costly and unsustainable, he points out. The earlier people realize this, the less painful it will be, Yah adds. Natasha Bust, FMT Business.
Every day, millions of Malaysians rely on subsidies to make life more affordable. Whether it's for food, fuel, or transport, these financial supports are intended to ease the burden of families and businesses. But what happens when these subsidies are properly directed? Instead of helping those who need it most, they often end up benefiting people who don't need assistance at all. In this documentary, we will uncover the deep flaws in Malaysian subsidy system, how misallocation of resources causes economic distortion, drive inequality, and ultimately affect the country finances. We will explore the subject that frequently appears in discussion about public finance and the management government funds. It is a challenge that many countries faces, particularly when dealing with large-scale spending commitment. Same goes with Malaysia right now. So this issue is often leads to question about how resources are allocated and whether the intended goals are fully realized or not.
Assalamualaikum and good days everyone. My name is Nur Shafika binti Amnuddin. My student number 20202111572 and today I would like to present about what are subsidies.
Imagine you wake up in Kuala Lumpur and notice that fuel prices at the petrol station haven't changed much in the past year, despite fluctuations in global oil prices. Then you head to your favorite coffee shop, noticing the price for nasi lemak has stayed surprisingly consistent, and your monthly electric bill isn't skyrocketing. On the surface, it feels like Malaysia is shielded from sharp cost of living spikes that often plague other countries. One major reason behind this relative stability is government subsidies. Subsidies, particularly for fuel, electricity, and certain food items, have been a cornerstone of Malaysian economic policy for decades. Here's a graph with data that we got from the Ministry of Finance, Malaysia, on subsidies, incentives and assistance from 2009 to 2024. As you can see, in every single year, the government of Malaysia has provided subsidies after subsidies, and in the most recent years, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Malaysian government provided substantial subsidies to cushion the economic impact of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, from 2020 to 2022, over 203 billion Malaysian ringgit was spent just for this cause.
Subsidies are government financial aids designed to support specific industry, product or services aiming to reduce costs, promote economic growth, reduce inequality, support strategic sectors or stabilize prices. They can take various forms such as direct payment, tax reduction or price control. Subsidies can encourage the development of technology like renewable energy or protect consumers from fluctuating prices. However, their effectiveness depends on their target and managed implementation, as inefficiencies can occur and income inequality may exacerbate. Therefore, governments must carefully design and implement subsidies to achieve their intended goals.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Adira Zoika binti Zulisha. My metric number is 2020459396.
Fizi said the implementation of government programs is regularly reviewed by the relevant ministries to minimize leakage, with the final decision to be made by the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry. Meanwhile, Deputy Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Fuzia Saleh said the ministry is exploring mechanisms to track the leakage of subsidized cooking oil throughout the supply chain, from packaging to wholesalers, retailers and ultimately consumers. The ministry is considering using batch or serial numbers as a potential tracking method to curb the smuggling of subsidized cooking oil.
Today, I'll be briefly talk about subsidy inefficiency in public expenditure and the problem they can cause. Subsidy inefficiency occur when government funds are misallocated, leading to waste and unintended consequences. Often, subsidies are distributed broadly, benefiting both wealthy and low-income individuals. This means that those who need the help the most don't not always receive it. For example, subsidy for energy and fuel tend to benefit wealthier individuals who consume more, depending social inequality. Subsidies also distort market prices, disrupting the natural balance of supply and demand. This can reduce initiative for business to innovate or improve services, especially in critical sectors like renewable energy. Furthermore, subsidy program can strain a country's budget, leading to deficit and undermining long-term fiscal health. A lack of transparency in subsidy distribution can also lead to corruption and mismanagement, wasting public resources. Additionally, subsidy for fuel or energy can have negative environmental effects, encouraging the continuous use of renewable resources and contributing to climate change. To address this, inefficiency reform are needed. This should include better targeting of subsidies, increased transparency, and improve fiscal management to ensure that resources are used effectively and equitably. In conclusion, while subsidies are meant to support vulnerable groups, their inefficiency can lead to economic, social, and environmental problems. Reforming subsidy system is essential for a more sustainable and fair future. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about an important issue that affect for our society: subsidy and efficiency in public expenditure. So subsidy are meant to help people, especially for those in need. However, in many cases, they do not achieve their intended purpose. Instead of solving problems, these subsidies sometimes create a new challenge, especially for low-income communities. Um, of course, it's crucial to understand this inefficiency so we can work towards a fair and more effective system, especially for the Malaysia. So let's explore how the subsidy inefficiency impact the society.
Subsidies. They do this to create long-term benefits for the economy or to help pay for things that the market isn't providing but that people cannot live without. Subsidies can also be a helpful tool when an economy is hit by crisis. Let me show you what I mean. Take housing. Everyone needs a roof over their head. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford it, but governments can help by subsidizing rent for poorer citizens or building more low-cost homes. Education subsidies, like discounted tuition or free textbooks, can make schooling affordable for more people. As a result, people are more skilled and can get better jobs. Even something as small as bringing down
The first one is low-income communities. Subsidy really address the core issue of low-income groups, keeping them in poverty. For example, in Malaysia, the fuel subsidy are often enjoyed more by wealthier car owners who consume more fuel, while as we know that the low-income families with limited vehicle uh, very they are very challenged. They have many challenges, like they access little benefit. So this community face a challenge like unemployment, lack of access to quality education, and also inadequate healthcare, which subsidy fail to address effectively for the some purpose. So the next one is vulnerable groups. Subsidy often don't reach the people who need them most and end up helping other instead. For example, in Malaysia, we can see that subsidy for things like cooking oil sometimes lead to stockpiling or illegal trading. So this means the poor get less access for these goods. So as a result, the help doesn't work as a plan, and also the family who need it the most are left struggling. So that's the number two. The next one is essential service. Um, Money is wasted on inefficiency subsidy instead of improving the healthcare of or education. For example, in Malaysia, large sums are spent on general subsidies for items like electricity, but this fund could be redirected to build rural clinics or uh, improve schools in underserved areas. Such investment could make a more meaningful difference in people's life by addressing the critical needs. So that's point number three. What impact to the society? So the last one is for the long-term benefits. uh, Redirecting funds to lasting program like education could benefit society for generation. Uh, for example, they're investing in vocational training programs in Malaysia could provide youth from low-income families with job-ready skills. And also helping them to secure the better paying jobs and break out of the poverty, of course. So this long-term solution empower the individuals and also can contribute to sustainable the economic growth. So for the conclusion, um, subsidy inefficiency highlight the need for better planning and also resources allocation. So by addressing this issue, so we can ensure that the public funds truly benefit the people who need the very needs them the most, and also can contribute to the stronger and also, of course, more equitable society. So I think this is for me. Thank you and have a nice day.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Adi Abdul Rahim, student number 2022324763. I would like explain about challenger and recommendation for subsidy in Malaysia.
My name is Carlos de la Torre, and I am a visiting scholar with the Malaysia Sustainable Cities Program, a joint MIT-UTM initiative. I am a former revenue advisor with the state government of Madhya Pradesh, India, and with the Ministries of Finance of Cambodia and Indonesia. During this video, I would like to talk to you about how a complementary bottom-up approach may improve the rate of success in energy subsidy reform in Malaysia. First, let me give you some background on energy subsidies and subsidy reform initiatives in Malaysia. Authorities have adopted fossil fuel energy subsidies to provide temporary or permanent buffer against changes in international oil prices, support state-owned energy companies as a component of industrial policy, and provide access to energy services to low-income groups. Over time, authorities have realized that energy subsidies have several unintended consequences and costs. Energy subsidies have been associated with fiscal imbalances, displays priority public spending, and overspending in road infrastructure, excessive energy consumption and underinvestment in existing electric utilities and in renewable energy, degradation of local air quality, and inequity as subsidies are captured by higher income households. In Malaysia, the cost of energy subsidies have been estimated at 6% of GDP, or $24.2 billion in 2015. The estimate will be conservative if it excludes, for example, tax incentives and government loan guarantees to the fossil fuel industry in Malaysia. In order to reform energy subsidies, authorities have used executive orders alone or executive orders followed by legislative budget approvals. This process involved a limited number of key stakeholders, such as the Ministry of Finance and high-ranking executive branch officials. The measures were developed with the belief that this approach was faster and that the information at hand was reliable enough.
Carlo de la Torre, he is a scholar with the Malaysia Sustainable City Program, with experience as a revenue advisor in India, Cambodia, and Indonesia. Challenger in subsidy reform. Reform have been top-down with limited stakeholder involvement, lead to lack of support and trust. Concern about reallocation of saving and protection for vulnerable group. Propose bottom-up approach. Step 1. Identify key stakeholder. Example, government official, company, environmental group. Step 2. Assess, perform, and current issue. Example, increase consumption, lower revenue. Step 3. Consider alternative. Example, tariff change, tax incentive, or cash transfer for low income family. And the last step 4, select the best alternative based on stakeholder interest and society criteria. Benefit of a complementary approach, a bottom-up approach, alongside top-down measure, generate more information, trust, and capacity, improving the likelihood of success subsidy reform. The step can be adapted to different country context. Thank you.
Two economists have backed calls to scrap subsidies and provide cash aid directly to those in need. Jeffrey Williams of the Malaysia University of Science and Technology and Ye Kim Leng of Sunway University agreed that targeted aid would be more helpful than subsidies. They were commenting on a recent suggestion by businessman Amir Ali Maidin that the government do away with all subsidies in favour of giving cash aid directly to the people. He said the government's subsidy schemes were not properly structured. Williams said cash transfers such as wages and direct subsidies had worked to protect incomes and keep prices down. However, he acknowledged that they should not go on indefinitely as it would distort the market in the long term. He said there was a need for an exit strategy and suggested that a universal basic income could be an alternative.
So the closing scene emphasizes the transformative power of well-directed subsidy system. It highlights how, with transparency and targeted aid, resources can be invested in crucial areas like education, healthcare, and sustainable development. By properly allocating funds, Malaysia has the opportunity to empower its citizens and build thriving, resilient community. If we allocating the fund properly or precisely, we can somehow make the community stronger and helping those who in need instead of wasting the resources in the areas that are unnecessary. The narrative reinforces that with tough reforms, Malaysia can create a more prosperous and sustainable future for all, where subsidies are used effectively to uplift those who need it most and foster long-term growth.